Welcome back to the reading of A Good Kind of Trouble, written by Lisa Moore Ramy. Today we're going to be reading pages 280 to 293, chapters 53, 54, and 55, Black and Blue, Down, Friendships, and Trash Cans. So please open up your text to page 280, and I'm going to begin reading. In shop, Yolanda has her head down, low over her circuit board, and doesn't look up when I take my seat next to her. I reach over and I touch her arm, softly at first. I don't think she feels it, so I press harder, and then she looks up and asks me, "What?" with her eyes and grumpy face. I swallow hard because I haven't practiced what I'm going to say. I just want you to know me and Tyler weren't ever talking, I whisper. He misunderstood. I don't want to make it seem like it was all Tyler's fault. I should have said something sooner. But I straightened it out with him. A bit of the grump slides off of Yolanda's face. She doesn't look mad anymore. She looks like she's listening. And she looks at my arm. "What's that for?" she asks. This isn't something I want to whisper, so I say in a regular voice, "For all the people who've been shot, and for the jury getting it wrong." Tyler looks over at us, and he's so light-skinned. I can see the blush covering his face. I think he's going to pretend he wasn't listening, so I won't yell at him for butting in. But then he says, "Black Lives Matter." Yolanda nods and then totally shocks me by asking me, "Will you bring me in one?" She gives me a tiny peek at her upside-down Y. Of course. And I decide right then I'll bring one for Isabella too. It'll be nice to have some armband company. "Blue Lives Matter," a boy at a workbench behind us says. His name is Alvin. Some people think black people are against police because of Black Lives Matter. They think we are saying all police are bad and we hate them. Police wear blue, so saying Blue Lives Matter is like saying the blue version, saying blue versus black. Mama says it's just trying to stir up a mess of trouble. I agree. I don't hate police. Even Hannah doesn't hate the police. Uncle Shelley is a cop, and he's the coolest. So I say, "Of course Blue Lives Matter, stupid." Mr. Klossner twists his mustache and tells us to get back to work. Tyler looks at my armband and then down, and I bet he wants to ask me to bring him one, but he doesn't. When I get a chance for track practice, I look at my pile of folded clothes in my gym locker. I rub my hands on my thighs and I decide to leave my armband on. Coach West might not like it, but I want to leave it on. It feels important. Coach West doesn't make me take it off. She nods and gives me a thumbs up. So many people wear them at the Black Lives Matter rallies and protests. I'm sure she knows what it's for. I'm glad she's not going to stop me. During our warm-up mile, the tails of the armband flap behind me, and it makes me almost feel as if I have wings. Angie runs past me, but then she slows down so I can catch up with her. She smiles at me and points at my armband. Black lives, right? A warm scoop of peach cobbler floats around in my stomach. In my head I say, "Yes, sister." In my head I say, "Power to the people." In my head I say, "Let's become really good friends." But out loud I say, "Right." Angie runs next to me for the rest of our warm-up. And it feels like when you've been trying and trying to get two parts of a zipper to fit together at the bottom, and they are starting to wonder if it's broken because they won't connect, and then suddenly, whoosh, they just slide right into place. Maybe doing something isn't all that hard. So what a fantastic chapter that is. Shayla seems to be able to clear a few things up with Yolanda. Tyler is there in shop, and the three of them, who are all black, seem to unite together around Shayla's black armband that she's wearing, to the point where Yolanda asks her, hey, would you bring one in for me? Then she gets to track practice, and Coach West doesn't make her take it off, and that makes her feel even more powerful. And then as she's running, Angie notices it, who's not been really happy with her, and she slows down her running pace so that Shayla can catch up, and they have a moment together. Shayla in her mind thinks of all these really cool things she'd like to say, but instead she just says, yeah, right, that's for Black Lives Matter. So this is a really nice moment for Shayla. She's starting to feel a bigger sense of belonging among some of the black students at the school. So the next chapter we're going to move on to is called Down. And a lot of times when someone in English says, hey, yo, I'm down, or I'm down for that, it means that they're willing to do it. They're interested in it. It's something that they believe in or want to do. So here we go. Page 284, Down. All right. The next day I bring Isabella and Julia an armband. We are the United Nations, and it will feel good to do this together. At break, I pull out the 2 strips of black material out of my pocket. Cool, Isabella says, and puts hers right on. Julia doesn't take hers. What's wrong? I ask. I don't know, Shay. Don't get me wrong. I'm down and everything, but... Julia starts fiddling with her hair, pulling it back behind her ears, then shaking it back out. Her blue highlights have faded, and now she has streaks of faded yellowish green in her hair. I'm not sure if it makes sense for us to wear one of those. Isabella looks down at her armband. Huh? You believe Black Lives Matter, right? I ask. Julia, still holding out the armband that I brought for her. You know that verdict wasn't fair. The protests are worse now that the verdict came out. More and more people are shouting for change and shouting for justice. Don't you think things need to change? I want her to say that change is important and we're willing to fight for it, even if the fight is just wearing an armband. But it's not like wearing it is going to change anything. Julia looks down at the ground, but I can see her face is getting red. And maybe it's something only the black kids should do. She glances over at Isabella and then back down. I'm not giving mine back, Isabella says. I put Julia's armband back in my pocket. It's cool, I say, trying to act like I don't care. You don't have to wear one. I'm trying to understand what Julia said. But the truth is, I don't. It's good I have PE after break because I give Yolanda an armband and she grins really big at me and she ties it on. I think it's the first true smile I've gotten from her in a really long time. And she has black ribbons braided into her hair. I bet she was thinking about matching the armband I was bringing her. I tell myself that Yolanda being excited about wearing an armband makes up for Julia not taking the armband I brought for her. But I can't make myself believe it. So this is an interesting chapter. Julia is telling Shayla that she's down for the Black Lives Matter movement and that she agrees with Shayla, but she's not willing to take the armband. She's not willing to go to that point at this point yet. And Shayla is super, super disappointed, but she doesn't want to pressure her friend. She's going to just try to let her get to the conclusion herself. Then she runs into Yolanda, and she's really excited because Yolanda is absolutely excited about getting the armband. She's even matched the ribbons in her hair to match. And Isabella, just like she's been kind of tried and true throughout the whole story, she takes the armband and she gets it, and she's going to wear it and not give it back. She does not agree with Julia. So the last chapter for this video is 55, Friendships and Trash Cans. Page 287. Okay. I'm hustling to English, hoping my quick work with the cleansing wipe was good enough to wipe off my PE sweat, when I see a bunch of guys around a trash can outside the cafeteria. Bernard is easy to spot because he's so much bigger than the other guys. And plus he's yelling loud. I'm surprised that no teacher or Principal Trask has gotten over here and stopped this. I think about skirting around them to get to class, but then I notice Alex in the middle of all those boys, and I can't let Bernard beat up on my friend, especially when Alex is so much smaller than Bernard. Even though kids flood the walkway heading to class, no one seems to be paying attention to what's happening to Alex. Bernard, I yell, and I start marching over there. I thought I was wrong about Bernard, but here he is messing with Alex. I don't care how big he is. That is not cool. One of the boys, Daniel, wraps his arm around Alex. And at first, I think he's protecting him. But then he lifts Alex off the ground and tries to shove Alex into the trash can. You think you're so funny, Daniel says. Let's see you joke about this. Most of the boys are laughing, and a few try to grab Bernard's arm. But Bernard is stronger than they are, and he hauls off and he punches a guy, and then he yanks Alex from Daniel. You best back off, Bernard hollers. You ain't putting Alex in the trash. I stop in my tracks. Wait, Bernard is protecting Alex? What are you going to do about it? A boy named Marcus asks, like he's so tough. Bernard pushes Alex behind him, and then he clobbers Marcus. And that's just when Principal Trask walks outside the cafeteria. Bernard Walker, she shouts, and all the boys freeze. Why am I not surprised? She glares at Bernard. Wait, Principal Trask, Alex speaks up. But I can tell she's not listening to him at all. Bernard started it, one of the boys yells. Yeah, Marcus yells, pressing a hand to his eye. He punched me. I can see what's happening here, Principal Trask says. One of the boys covers his mouth to keep from laughing. He started the whole thing, Travis Neon says. Travis is one of those kids who look like they're sweet and innocent, but they're always doing something. No, that's not, Alex starts to say, but Principal Trask cuts him off. That's enough, she hollers. All of you, she adds, but she's only looking at Bernard. She shakes her head at him like he's one sorry human and says, Come with me, Bernard. This is the last straw. I look at Bernard, waiting for him to defend himself, waiting for him to explain. But he's just looking at the ground, shuffling his feet back and forth with his hands clenched into his fists. My palms start biting at me, and my mouth feels like I sucked on cotton balls. I don't know how many straws Bernard had, but I can't watch him get his last one. Principal Trask! Principal Trask turns her cold blue eyes on me and looks at me like I'm a bug. A bug she's about to squash. I'm handling something right now. I cross my arms tight across my chest and I say, You need to listen. I swear, Principal Trask glances at my armband and then she stiffs and wrinkles her nose like something stinks. Young lady, Do not tell me what I need to do. Something stinks, all right. But you're getting it wrong. Bernard was only protecting Alex. Suddenly, a bunch of mean boys' eyes are staring at me, but I don't care. They were trying to trash Alex, and Bernard stopped them. Principal Trask's eyes go from Bernard to Alex to the other boys, and then back to me. I seriously doubt. It's the truth, Alex says, madder than I've ever heard him. Principal Trask ignores Alex. She takes a step towards Bernard. Take that off, she says, pointing at Bernard's arm. Bernard has a black sock tied around his arm. He must have come up with the idea after first period, because I definitely would have noticed it in science, especially since his sock is dirty. I won't, Bernard yells. His face and his fists are scrunched up tight. What did you say? Principal Trask asks menacingly. As loud as he shouted, she sure heard him. All right, take it off. I don't have to do what you say, Bernard booms. I'm not taking off nothing. Just take it off, Bernard, I say. It's not fair, but I don't want to see him get in trouble, especially when I'm the one who started the whole armband thing. I don't want to, he hollers, but I know it's not me he's mad at. I don't know what to do, but then Coach West rushes up all out of breath. I saw them, she says. I was coming as fast as I could to help. Shayla's right. She puts her hand on Bernard's back. Principal Trask's eyes flick between my armband and Bernard's sock, like they might just tell a different story. Coach West doesn't have to lean down much to be face to face with Bernard. Maybe you should take that off for now. Her voice is gentle. Bernard looks like he's going to cry, and his hands get all fumbly trying to take off the sock, so Coach West helps him. Travis snickers and Bernard glares at him. You bet Travis's smirk slides right off of his face. Principal Trask wipes her hands together. Bernard, regardless of the reason, fighting at this school is taken seriously. Coach West steps forward. Why don't we discuss this in your office, Dorothy? Lots of kids have stopped to watch now, and I don't think Principal Trask likes that very much. Or maybe she just doesn't like Coach West calling her Dorothy. Fine, she says. All of you come with me. Then she looks at me and Alex. You both can go to class. Are you okay, Alex? Coach West asks, and he nods. Why don't you come with us? She tells him. Make sure we get the whole story. Principal Trask and the boys walk off. I want to go to Principal Trask's office too, to make sure that she listens to Bernard and Alex. But then Coach West tells me, don't worry, Shayla. I'll make sure Principal Trask understands. Go ahead, get to class. On my way to English class, I don't think at all about how much trouble I'm going to be in for being late. All I can think about is how Bernard the bully is really Bernard the hero. And when I tell the story at lunch, Julia doesn't believe me. Are you sure he was protecting Alex? Yes, I say, tired of explaining. But he's so mean, Julia says. Isabel says, maybe not. Julia gives me an accusing look. You're the one who said he was going to kill you in science. But I was wrong. That's what I'm trying to explain. I don't understand why Julia can't see Bernard in the new light I'm shining right on him. Julia shrugs. He's still a bully to me, bro. I stare hard at Julia, but I swear it's like I can't see her at all. Isabella gives a worried frown to her armband. Trask really made him take off his armband? It was a sock, I complained. It's like no one's listening to me. So this is a very traumatic chapter, and it's a glaring example of bias and racism on the part of Principal Trask. She comes up to a situation, and Bernard is actually being a hero. He stops Daniel from putting Alex in the trash can. But Principal Trask just believes that it's all Bernard's fault. And truly, when Shayla was coming up, she still looks at Bernard a little bit through a negative lens, just because he's a big kid and that he's black and that he's being a bully. That's the reputation Bernard has. And Principal Trask won't listen to Alex. Keeps trying to interrupt and explain. And then all the boys who were going to put Alex in the trash clump together and say, yeah, they started it. Oh, he punched me in the eye. All of this business. Luckily, Shayla busts through the noise and demands that Principal Trask hear the truth. And this is so amazing for Shayla. She's the one whose hands get all sweaty and itchy. Right now, she does not care about getting in trouble. All she cares about is doing the right thing and taking a stand. She doesn't want to see Bernard get in trouble for something he didn't do. And luckily, Coach West comes into the situation. She saw the whole thing, and she makes Principal Trask stop and listen. Thank goodness for Coach West. And you know, it's something to be said that Coach West interrupted and didn't just walk on by and let the situation happen. It's really important not to be a bystander. That means, like, when you see something wrong happening, you shouldn't just ignore it and walk away. You should step in and try to do the right thing. And that's what Shayla does, and that's what Coach West does. And I hope that Principal Trask will see the light and not get Bernard into too much trouble for the confrontation. Hopefully Bernard doesn't get into any trouble for what happened. It's those other boys that deserve to be in trouble. Okay, there you go.